Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name's Amber Vine, I'm 29 years old and recently become a first-time mum to my newborn baby called Poppy, and I've started my YouTube channel to share some of the experiences that I had during my pregnancy, my labour, my birth story, and now little things that I'm experiencing as a first-time mum, and more importantly fun and adventures that we're having as a family. So that's the point of my YouTube channel, and today's video is about being pregnant and discriminated, because I actually got fired from the job that I was in when I told them that I was pregnant. So unfortunately this is something that a lot of women experience, and I personally decided not to pursue legal action because on a personal scale, I'd had a pregnancy that didn't end well before, and so this pregnancy was so important to me. I didn't want anything to jeopardise it. Stress obviously doesn't help, and I just didn't want to risk my pregnancy going through the stress and all the hassle of taking legal action, so I didn't. And looking back now that I have a healthy baby and everything, I probably wish that I had. So the company that I was working for, I'm not going to name drop or anything, mostly because I don't want them to take legal action against me. As much as I would love to name drop, because obviously I would love to warn other women away from working for them, especially if they're planning to have children. But the company themselves are very widely known. I didn't know before I started working there, but they are very widely known for firing people at any cause. A lot of it is unlawful firing. I mean, on my second day I probably should have seen some red flags, because they fired a girl because she couldn't turn up to her shift because her appendix erupted and she was sent to hospital instead, and because her mum phoned to say, I'm sorry, she won't be in work, she's gone to hospital. They said that that was unprofessional of her and she shouldn't have got her mum to phone in sick for her and this, that and the other, and like I should have looked back and thought, oh, hang on, this is my second day, someone's got fired for being rushed to hospital. And yeah, during my 10 months of employment, I probably saw about 15 people get fired for ridiculous reasons. Some were reasons which were completely valid, like a girl, yeah, there was a few, I won't go into it in case people are watching who work there and stuff, but a couple of them were valid, and I probably had been, if I had been their direct manager, would have had to take action against them for that as well. But a lot of them were stupid reasons. A lot of people got bullied out of the job. They had 2 employment tribunal lawsuits going on in that 10 months as well, potentially a third, but I didn't hear much regarding that, so I can't be sure. The place was in Carmarthen, in St Clears, and it was a really nice place. It was probably one of the best places that I've ever worked in my life. I loved the job, I loved the view from my desk. I was a head receptionist, and in like the building, so they did luxury lodges, and so it was not really a holiday park, but you could holiday there. We weren't allowed to say it was a holiday park, and we weren't allowed to say that they were basically static caravans, but really, really posh. And the building that I worked in was amazing. It was 5-star. I worked as the head receptionist and spa manager, and I loved my job. The management who was there at the time, my direct manager, she was great. It was unfortunately the owners that had a lot of downfall on the business itself, and apparently it was from them, which is why I got fired. But yeah, basically when I was 12 weeks pregnant, I started to think, oh, I need to let them know. Legally you don't have to tell them before, it's 15 weeks before you plan to take your maternity leave, so you don't actually have to tell them when you're 3 months pregnant. A lot of people probably do, because if you're going to be putting it on social media and things like that, then it's only fair that you tell your employer as well, especially if you've got friends on Facebook, because, well, they're going to know. But yeah, so I was a high risk pregnancy, so I had scans at 7, 8, and 10 weeks. It was the 10-week scan that I was like, oh, I need to. I basically had to swap all. Luckily, the 7 and 8 scans fell on my days off, but the 10-week scan I had to swap a shift with somebody, and I thought, oh, I don't usually do that, so I don't want to arouse any suspicion, but I did it on that occasion, and then I made plans from the 12-week scan to tell them, but they forgot about they lost my paperwork and whatever. So when I swapped shifts, I got a good scan on my 10 weeks, and I decided, right, I need to tell them that I'm pregnant now, because obviously I'm going to have another one in 2 weeks time, and then I'm going to have midwife appointments and stuff, and I knew I was going to have a lot more appointments than maybe a normal pregnancy would have had. And your employers, they have to allow you, they call it reasonable time off for these antenatal appointments, and if it falls during your work day, they do actually have to allow you to leave work, attend your appointment, and then resume work on that shift. It's not your problem to find them cover, although if you're anything like me, you will try, because it's nice, isn't it? And yeah, so I would have been allowed reasonable time off. Luckily, she'd just prefer me to switch my shifts, which was fine by me, because I was half an hour away from where I live, so it wasn't really going to be viable for me to leave, attend an appointment, go back. I'd rather just swap my shift, even though I would have missed out on the pay if I left in a work day. But yeah, so my 10-week appointment, I had that, planned to tell them, and I went into work, and a couple of people knew, but the main manager, the resort manager, he didn't know, and I wanted to tell him, but when I got to work that day, he actually fired my direct manager, and with very little reason. The whole thing was ridiculous, not sure why, like, she didn't even really get a proper reason for being fired, and I was like, oh no, like, what now? And then I was really stressed, because there was an argument between them and the resort manager, and he was just really angry, and he just started firing people. So obviously I was really scared for the jeopardy of my job. Being 10 weeks pregnant, I didn't know if I'd get another job and things like that. So I went to him. He called me upstairs, sorry. And I was like very emotional, being 10 weeks pregnant, hormones were flying around everywhere. And I thought that was it. I thought, oh, I'm next, I'm getting fired. They're just doing a clean house. So I went upstairs, and I just cried. And he was like, what is wrong? What is wrong? Da 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 da. And I was like, you've just fired her. I feel like I'm next. And he said, oh no. And he really bigged me up. He told me I was doing a great job. And in fact, the reason he was calling me up there was to give me more responsibilities, which would be aligned with more pay. It wasn't a new title or anything, because I was already running the spa and the reception, and he just wanted me to basically do more of what I was doing and take over the ordering side of things, a bit more with stock take for the restaurant and things like that. So I was like really settled, and then he was offering me a promotion and extra pay, and then I said, I do need to let you know, I'm 10 weeks pregnant. And he looked really surprised and shocked, and he was like, oh, okay, congratulations. And then I was like, okay, thanks. And I said about, obviously, the fact that there was very little staff there. They were understaffed the whole time I was there, but due to this clear house, we were already struggling in several departments. We had lack of therapists, we had lack of bar staff, we had lack of receptionists, and it was the main reason I was preparing myself up to tell them was because due to the lack of receptionists, they were going to start making us do 12-hour shifts, 4 days on and 3 days off or something. I can't remember what it was, but I was gearing myself up to tell them anyway, because I was struggling with 9-hour shifts with a half an hour lunch break, so I knew I wasn't physically going to be able to do 12-hour shifts. First trimester of pregnancies, exhausting. Second trimester is a bit better, but not great. And third trimester would be a write-off. So I was preparing myself to tell him anyway, even though I legally didn't have to. I just felt like I needed to, so that hopefully they would have made some special circumstances for me while pregnant not to have to do those sorts of shifts. But yeah, that didn't matter in the end, because after he gave me this pay rise and promotion and then said goodbye for the day, the following morning it was my day off, and I was about to go and sell my car because it had a lot of issues. So we were going to sell that car and then buy a new car. And in between selling my car, while selling my car, I got a phone call and he fired me. And he said that it was because of what excuse did he give? He said that one of my social media TikTok videos had gone viral, and because I was wearing my uniform, which, may I add, was a plain white shirt and blue jeans, no company logos, it wasn't really a uniform, it was just them saying, can you purchase yourself blue jeans and a white shirt to wear when you come to work. So it wasn't really considered a uniform, and I was in the building. But the real stinger was that they actually had a staff competition about 5 months prior to this, which was them asking us to make these TikTok videos and share them online to create like a buzz for the place. I'm not going to say what it is. But yeah, so it was actually a management competition for staff to make videos of themselves or others in the building wearing their uniform. So, and this had been online for about 4 or 5 months. It only actually had about 60 views on TikTok, so it definitely wasn't what I'd say is viral. And yeah, so the fact that they made us make these videos and then used it as an excuse to fire me, my main question was, are you firing everybody else who's in these videos or made these videos, because that's all of your staff? And obviously I didn't get an answer. I was treated like what felt like a criminal, because he said that I wasn't even allowed to go back to the place to retrieve my belongings, and that somebody would pack them up for me and I'd have to get somebody else to collect them or meet me off site to collect them from a third party. So I was thinking, it's not like you were literally giving me a promotion and a raise yesterday and now you're treating me like I might rob the place. So yeah, it was really heartbreaking. I've never been fired from a job before, so I couldn't believe that I was being treated in this way. And I was really glad that they did it before I bought a brand new car, because I probably would have struggled to maintain the payments now that I was jobless and pregnant. I was really stressed anyway. I was upset from losing my job, stressed what I was going to do next, because I didn't know if I would be able to get another job. It felt deceitful to be applying for jobs knowing that I was pregnant, and legally I didn't have to tell them. Obviously I seek legal advice from Citizens Advice Bureau, and they said, look, you're best off, if you want to get another job, don't tell them that you're pregnant yet. And so the first place I looked was back, like I was looking at hospitality jobs. I got offered several that I applied for, because obviously when you're job hunting and you're quite desperate, you just apply for everything that you find. I got offered quite a few hospitality jobs, but again, the shifts were long, the hours were going to be really draining for a pregnant person, and obviously it's a job that I probably wouldn't have been able to stay in till full term. And then I found that New Look were hiring, and it's a company I worked for about, God knows how many years ago. I think I was about 16 when I started working for them, and I really did pursue a career with them in visual merchandising. And I saw it come up, and I was like, perfect timing, because since I moved, the only reason I left New Look is because I moved from St Albans to Dunstable, and the local store couldn't offer me the hours that I needed. And then ever since we moved back to Wales, I've always looked at New Look when I've been looking for a job, and this one was just perfect timing, and they hired me straight away. And I waited a couple of weeks. I think I waited about 4 weeks actually until I told the manager, because my job was going to be going up ladders and fixing decals to the windows and stuff. And I was like, okay, so I'd been trying to not hide my pregnancy because nobody asked, and if they'd asked if I was pregnant, I probably would have told them, but I was deliberately doing things that weren't going to affect me or my baby. So I was avoiding ladders, I was doing this, that and the other, and then it was a time where I really had to tell them, and mostly I just wanted them to know because it felt quite deceitful, as I said, having this big secret. And when I did, the manager, Stacey, she was so lovely, and we did all the health and safety forms. They looked after me during that time more than I looked after myself. Like, they were always saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, or let me take that for you. And all the staff were really lovely, and I was a supervisor, so everyone was just really taking care of me and making sure that I was taking care of myself. But unfortunately, as Black Friday came around, it was really hard because retail was hard anyway around the Christmas period, and I was just overworking myself. I nearly tore my pelvic floor muscle. I had pelvic girdle pain. I literally, I'm going to do a whole video on that because I did learn a lot. But so I did get another job, and that was great. I'm on maternity leave from there now, and I found that a few of the sites that were really helpful to me was there's it's a website called Pregnant Then Screwed. My midwife was the one that told me you need to have a look on there. So I'll just tell you a bit about it. So it's a charity, and on the site it's literally got all the like stories from other people that are in similar situations. It's all about pregnancy discrimination and what rights you have and things like that. And it was a woman, and she says 2 days after she informed her employer that she was pregnant with her first child, she was sacked from her job by voicemail. She was 4 months pregnant and unemployed with bills to pay. Her name was Jolie. She considered taking legal action, but then found out she was having a high-risk pregnancy and could go into labour at any moment. Her career and confidence were at rock bottom, and the health of her baby was in jeopardy. She realised that her experience was not unique. Jolie launched Pregnant Then Screwed on International Women's Day in 2015 as a space for mothers to share their stories of discrimination. The project quickly grew, and today Pregnant Then Screwed is a charity dedicated to ending the motherhood penalty, supporting tens of thousands of women each year and successfully campaigning for change. So that's a bit about Pregnant Then Screwed. It's incredibly helpful. There's lots of information on there, so if anyone finds themselves in a similar situation to me, please do look on that website because I found it really comforting. And most importantly, do what's best for you. So everybody wants to take legal action, but you need to think what's best for you and then work out from there. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and more so I hope that you haven't experienced what I did because it was awful. But anyway, thanks for watching. Bye!